Mind Body Life show hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life show. I'm your host, Frederick Entenmann. I am a former professional athlete, the best-selling author of Surviving Sports in the Game of Life, a coach, a consultant, and I help individuals from all walks of life, but most notably, I help professional athletes create lasting success and win a game of life. I want to welcome you to episode 39. This is about personal chaos. Not typically what I'm known for, but there's other side in which I really need to get real. And I just want to say one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Goethe, in which he says, "All that glitters is not gold." All that glitters is not gold. There's a well-known saying in meaning from Germany's Shakespeare, one of the world's greatest thinkers and writers. And it simply means that not everything that looks precious or true turns out to be so. This can be applied to the people, places, or things that promise to be more than they really are. This episode, I want you to know, is my most personal and profoundly vulnerable episodes to date. And in a time where it seems that there's more hurting than authentically thriving in the world. And I want to note authentic. Here, my friends, here, my listeners, is a brief glance of my insights into the other side of life, in which almost everyone has experienced to some degree or another. And I'm sure someone is rock bottom right now. Please get this episode into their hands. My intention is to ensure you're not the only one and that you truly, truly matter. I know it may not feel like that. And may I warn you, just because someone has Hollywood looks or Olympic athletic prowess or outerearthly creativity and has this life that seems to be handed on a silver platter, having it easy, folks, couldn't be further from the truth. And the true Frederick, you know what? I've been through so much. I bond and connect with the other side, as I will say. Just want to throw out some questions. Do you feel like everything in your life is chaotic and spiraling out of your control right now? Have you lost someone close to you and you feel as though your world is crumbling and you can't stop it? I've been there. Not knowing how to defeat the darkness or defeat sudden onset of depression. This feeling of being lost, but there is a way to rebuild your life. There is a way to live in the light again. It isn't a cure, but it is a way to start living positive, okay? What comes to mind first when you think of chaos, actually? Maybe a void absent of all light, a black hole sucking everything into an abyss with no bottom, just nothingness. Maybe it is destruction, crumbling buildings, burning trees, and hope lost. Maybe it's just that vein bursting standstill traffic on the way to work that makes you punch the horn of your car like you're Muhammad Ali and combine every fucking shitty asshole damn curse word in your vocabulary, causing you to clench your Starbucks cup so hard it begins to bleed caramel latte all over your starched slacks, pissing you off even more. For me, my comical chaos is myself as this angry victim ready to kill another human just to buy their shiny thingy-mabobber first, all of whom having wailing babies in the clutches of one hand and their Dolce & Gabbana clutches on the other hand. Been there and done that, but really, what the hell is chaos? Some scholarly somebody, probably Greek, who sat somewhere important, probably under a tree at some point in time, probably a long ass time ago, came up with the definition of chaos that went something like this. Chaos is a bottomless pit, or also a chasm that may lead to the underworld, the ocean floor, or hell as we know it. Well, doesn't that sound pleasant? And at this point, you might be saying, oh my gosh, who is this other side of Frederick? Well, folks, this is actually the real me. There's not flowering anything, okay? But I just want to delve into, what about the real and tangible chaos? What about your own personal chaos you feel throughout your lifetime? Not that everyday mumbo-jumbo-like job annoyances, but the real shitstorms that make us feel like our own life is actually coming to an end. Something got me thinking about personal periods of chaos. And today, or even yesterday, since it was Labor Day, I saw an ooey gooey mojo injecting Instagram photo with a quote on it by Deepak Chopra. A fella that goes on stage to speak and you suddenly think he's fallen asleep standing up, and then wham, he exhales and whispers words that inspirationally bitch slap you across the face. Words like this: the night is darkest just before the dawn, and I promise you the dawn is coming. Oh wait, that was from The Dark Knight. Still a good quote, right? Actually, here's an actual quote from Mr. Chopra. All great things are preceded by chaos. There we go. Kind of gives you some butterflies, huh? And when you read that quote, did some period of personal chaos course through your mind? I mean, what was it? What exactly was it? Maybe it was that time you lost your job. Or maybe if you're an entrepreneur, everything seemed to just dry up and suddenly life goes backwards and even downwards frantically. Bills piled up and you felt like you drown in collection calls. Been there many, many times. Been there many times. Maybe it was that time you didn't know what to do with your life. So much pressure in this society to do something stupid, really, unfulfilling to your soul, that somebody else deemed important because of its title or even pay. Or maybe your parents, when you're well into your grown years, still pestering you to get your shit together and start a career, perhaps even telling you to pray a little to God, or you need Jesus in your life. And all you wanted to do was listen to house music and slap acrylic paint on a canvas and hold a gallery show. Maybe, just maybe, the absolute love of your life broke up with you, or even worse, betrayed you. Your heart torn from your chest, thrown to the ground, whizzed on, and lit on fire. Left you feeling crazy because suddenly everything that you believed of sustenance within your shiny glass ball shattered into 1,000 pieces out of nowhere. Maybe it was when you lost a loved one. I haven't experienced this, but I would imagine everything in the world seems to lose its smell, loses its taste, its feel, and beauty. I imagine a deep and dark sadness fills you up and consumes you and causes you to consume alcohol and drugs at a deadly pace. I've heard of these places. It is those tumultuous times where everything is spinning and you lose your shit because time seems frozen. This utter despair and anxiety grips you. Sadness consumes you. But most of all, it's the state of confusion, the state of utter confusion, right? Everything is crumbling. Everything is loud and confusing, and you can't catch a damn clear thought. You want to curl up into some dark hole. Am I right? You don't have the energy to care anymore. You want to lie in bed because it takes so much effort just to lift yourself and face the day. And suddenly, booze and drugs and escapism are the only friends that care about you or that actually appeal to you. The world is against you and shitting on you at every turn. Your energy is nothing. You are defeated. This is personal chaos. And folks, I've been there many times. We all go through chaos at some point in our lives to some degree, whether it is death of a family member or heartbreak or career setbacks that are the cause. It doesn't matter. Pain and suffering isn't more or less based on the person or circumstance. We all feel it. We all feel it to some degree. Even when you have all the money in the world, I know of those still bored, still in despair, and still, at the end of the day, in pain. What can be measured is your effort to turn things around while suffering through this chaos. But that effort can only be measured by yourself and only given by yourself. It's up to you to turn chaos into motivation and to give it all of your damn strength, or to not. So how the hell can you turn the worst period of your life into something that rises you up? Easier said than done, right? And I know this, I've been there. Especially when your confidence is at an all-time low. Such an all-time low, you didn't even know it gets that low. And that's the new experience. Well, it's also easier to sit on your ass and sulk and be a victim, but that doesn't help anything at all. And ignoring the chaos and problems plaguing you don't either. I can empathize. I know what it feels like when everything seems lost and you don't even know what to do. I've actually struggled through chaos at several points in my journey. Folks, I died at birth. I had a very traumatic birth, and that was my beginning. Some of that chaos was brought on by outside forces. The other chaos, the amplifiers and the additional factors that made the chaos even worse, yep, that was my own doing. At the end of the day, it was actually my own doing. There was a period in my life where I felt the world was actually inherently against me, as if the fates had decided specifically to torture me for their pleasure. You know the feeling? That period came after I'd achieved greatness. I worked so damn hard in achieving greatness with the sport I loved and came across some very, very destructive coaches in which the end result was an onset of PTSD. That's a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. But even worse, there was a point in my life where I actually felt like I had everything together and finally building momentum with one win. One summer afternoon, I find out my beloved wife suddenly proclaimed to not love me anymore and sent my life spiraling into oblivion. I discovered how comforting one blackout booze fest after another could be, and how if I did that every single night or day, I didn't have to think about any situation anymore. And in retrospect, numbing all senses was probably the dumbass decision I could have made, because it took me backwards and spinning faster out of control than ever before. I mean, suddenly I had to deal with addiction and on top of everything else. Then I decided to run. And so instead of facing the chaos, I ran from it. And you better be damn sure if you run from the chaos, it'll follow. You can run, but you can't hide. That storm will grow in its wake. And just when you think you've escaped it, it will hit you harder when you least expect. And I ran from the chaos, and in turn, it sent me into that bottomless pit, or also a chasm that may lead to the underworld, the ocean floor, or hell as we know it, hell as I knew it, described by that scholarly somebody, and actually didn't send me there. I put myself there. When things turn to hell and you think that all is lost, you are the only one that can either make it better or make it worse. I know that sounds trite. Might even sound like bullshit to you at this time. Sure, feelings of defeat or sadness or others are totally warranted in certain times of chaos, but if you allow it to, it will consume you. And getting out of the chaos will be a life or death struggle. I know there are people there right now. Please forward this to 10 people that you know. Please forward this to as many people as you know, because I know millions of people can connect with these words right now. Suddenly, I myself was having thoughts of suicide. I got to that point, thoughts, I want to say. I was having the thoughts. And I had 2 adoring children. After attaining several degrees and certifications that proclaimed me as ridiculously decorated as a scholar, I thought some travel and attaining yet another degree and certification would be the end to all my woes. And that chaos that hit me after my divorce would be left behind as I began to travel and chase my so-called dreams of being emotionally and financially free. I'm sure you're wondering what happened. Well, that chaos followed me there and hit me when I least expected. Travel didn't heal me. Higher education didn't suddenly solve anything. It amplified the things that haunted me because I was suddenly alone. I was isolated and exposed. In the darkest period of my life followed, because instead of standing and facing the chaos that was destroying me, I ran away. I ignored it. And because of that, because I ran and ignored it for a period, I landed myself into the abyss. I'd been drinking not just to feel like a loser by failing at not only traveling and attaining more certifications and stupid pieces of paper that declares one as competent and really smart. I went out and partied and escaped just to be around other people, actually. And I had this utter fear of losing out. And that stupid feeling of what I now call 3 C's: comparing, commiserating, and competing, ruled me. I almost actually faced jail time for drunkenly breaking up my ex's house, in which I was still living in the basement. I thought, it was completely mine. After an entire day of drinking beer on my 35th birthday on August 28th, my kids, after a lot of yard work and most likely drinking a 12-pack of beer just one afternoon, my kids sat there on the couch petrified with my ex clutching them, frozen. And I saw their little eyes looking at me. Luckily, their mother called the cops, and I was greeted by 3 squad cars before I could blink an eye and escorted away from the premise of my own dwelling right before my children's eyes. I woke up the next day after crashing into friends, and all I could do is feel pity for myself. And I actually contemplated suicide because everything was crumbling around me, and I felt like there's no way out, and all was lost. And I was giving up. For the first time in my life, I was giving up. Why? Because the world was against me, because I'd gotten drunk and tore up the house to some degree, because I had utterly failed at something I wanted so idealistically to do and achieve out of my life. The world wasn't fucking against me, because things had become really hard after I messed up. The world doesn't give a damn about us. It has bigger things to worry about, like orbiting the sun. Well, stop blaming the world for your problems and just own up to them. And we call that manning up. If so, so be it. And if they suddenly hit you when you weren't expecting, don't make excuses. I actually had to snap out of it and kind of take a deep breath and, bring my shoulders back, snap the fuck out of it, Frederick. I growled and shouted at the mirror at one point while nobody was around, and that was right before I went to my divorce hearing. 11/11/11. I then slapped myself across the face as hard as I could as hard as I could manage, and I stared at myself in the mirror, breathing heavily, red in the face, eyes watering, teeth bared, and asked myself over and over, "The fuck are you doing?" Why? Because if you're allowing yourself to drown in the chaos and doing things to make it worse, you need a good slap. You need a good kick. You need a good hit to the nose or jaw from Mike Tyson. And I know that sounds a little extreme, but why did I tell you this? Why am I sharing this with you? You need a pep talk from yourself. That doer, that fighter, that deep down desire to live needs to come out and look you in the face and tell you that you need to turn the shit around. I don't want you to compare your personal chaos or struggles to another. Whether or not your experiences are similar to mine, or I'm sure in a different form, everybody's got theirs. Nobody's is worse than another. We all go through something, and we all have this choice. We all have a choice. Well, snap out of it and wake up. Stop sulking. Stop blaming. Stop the excuses. Act now. Change. It's always a choice that comes down to you. This is a time of is do or die. And this is the chance for personal growth. It happens after you've reached rock bottom. It's true what they say about the only way is up once you're down so low. The only thing that will keep you down or rise you up is you at the end of the day. From there, I could look around, see exactly what I had done. I was on my hands and knees in the fields of sorrows, looking down at my reflection in a murky puddle. My image was unrecognizable. The only way out of this sad and miserable place created by a self-made shitstorm was to stand up and pull myself out. This is an excerpt from my journal about my own self-induced chaos, a storm that I had created that destroyed everything around me, then struck me down. And at the lowest point in my life, in that stinking mud, I had two choices: stay down or pull myself out. Chaos happens to us all, but in this chaos, you can find this freak Hulk-like strength that you never knew you actually had or have. You are at the bottom, and the only way to go up is up. So get the fuck up. And after I chose to pull myself out of chaos, I found a new drive, a drive to be my best me. And I began to finally face the root of all the chaos, my past, and by doing so, I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. And that drive led me to get my act together and start saving again to travel, because I love traveling so much. I actually love cooking and I love traveling. So I saved travel with like an obsession, because my focus wasn't clouded by outside forces or internal wars. And I managed to save thousands of dollars in 4 months with a thriving personal training business and coaching business. First, I called it to be your best, because I was on a mission to be the best me, and hopefully could reflect that in others by helping them. And I reconciled with my ex to some degree, whom I hadn't had a healthy relationship in years, as you can imagine, because of the chaos I was relishing in. The chaos made me her for all setbacks in my life as well. And I started a consistent practice, years of holistic self-development, and began sharing my stories of healing to show others how to combat these trying times that I'd experienced. Then I began traveling again. And yet this time I left without phantoms of my past tearing at my soul or stalking me around the globe, wherever I went. And happy to say, I did complete my perilous student teaching experience to become an English teacher at one point, which is an entire other journey in its own right. Trust me, it's a completely other story and journey. But instead, realized I had a knack for personal development and coaching and relating to people. And so I created Mind Body Life, my very own consulting and coaching business. The bottom line is that I chose to take personal responsibility and act. That is the only way to act, to change, to claw your way out, to fight, to use the last bit of deep down energy to begin rebuilding piece by piece. It only happened piece by piece, okay? But after you begin, the momentum of each step will build you higher and higher. And don't think you'll get a fresh new slate or a new clean start, because this is your life and everything that came to be has happened. But it doesn't mean that what has happened is all that is you. You don't let the chaos and turmoil consume you. When you choose at that moment, in that metaphorical stinking mud, to pull yourself out, that choice alone is one of the most profound moments of your life. You're facing one of the most difficult and demoralizing and depressing moments, and you choose to stand up and fight. You choose to not hope for it to disappear, but to fade and rebuild your life better than ever. Fuck yeah, you'll feel like a badass. But more importantly, you'll feel something electrifying, surging through your body, a feeling of self-worth and drive to live. Is all personal growth stem from moments of chaos? No, I don't think so. Personal growth can actually happen at any moment, but it only happens by merely acting, folks. And especially after you've faced chaos, and then go right into it, not avoid it, not victimize it. Then you must continue to grow at all times, shapes of your life. But coming from the bottom of the abyss and fighting your way out, that takes a tremendous amount of blood, sweat, tears, willpower, fortitude, and spirit. And you can see when you decided not to stay down, but to get up, the enormous growth that happened in that moment. Are you free from the chaos after you faced it? Nope. It'll be around. It'll be lingering and waiting for you to falter again and decided to stay on the ground. But as long as you know that this storm exists, you can choose to give it the middle finger and snarl at it and know that you will not stay down ever again. So how do you truly turn chaos into motivation? How do you rebuild your life when everything seems lost? It is hard, but not impossible, and it will change you for the better forever. You'll need to accept what has happened, okay? You'll need to blame nobody. You'll need to fight strong urges that tell you just to give up and escape. You're going to need to stop making excuses. You'll need to act. That is what surged through me when I saw that quote today. I remember the chaos that hit me and the further chaos I caused on my own as well. And I immediately became filled with a renewed urgency to continue the growth and actually talk about this on this episode. So has chaos consumed you? And this is what I want you to do. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and think about the things that are falling apart or seem to be falling apart around you, or that are pulling you down. I want you to say out loud what is holding you back. And the only thing that you should say is, I'm holding myself back. I am. Why? Because bad breaks at jobs and sulking about significant others and drinking to oblivion because of death, these are holding you back from living the life that you want, from living in general, actually, and from being happy. They surely aren't going to help you, okay? So it's time to just lose those thoughts. You are holding yourself from an opportunity, the biggest growth and achievement in your life. So look in the mirror. Tell yourself, I am holding myself back. Then ask yourself, what the fuck are you doing? Slap yourself if need be. Run to exhaustion until you're empty and drenched in sweat. Hit reset. Make a positive action that is your reset mark. For me, it was training 1 year like an Olympian and breaking the 4-minute mark in a mile. I actually was the tallest, heaviest, and oldest individual in the world to ever do so. That was my reset, and it's been a different journey ever since. That's just my example, okay? And I know not everyone's born with the physiological fortitude or mental crazy fortitude that's just Frederick, but it's just my example. That's who I am. And so tell yourself, it's time to change. I can fucking change this. I can come out of this better than I've ever been before in my life. I want you to bare your teeth, growl, shake your head around, get crazy, be fierce. Yet at the mirror, like you aren't fucking scared of anything, and this is your start. Chaos is now your bitch, and it's caused by many things: failure, loss, uncertainty. But turn it on its head instead of it turning you on yours. Use failure as motivation to do something better than before. Use loss as a motivation to live more than ever before in that person's memory. And love fiercer than ever before. Use uncertainty as a period of endless possibility. I want you to let that animal or that fighter, that person that wants to live, let them come forth and look at you in the face in that mirror, and I want you to choose. 2 choices: stay in the mud or pull yourself out. So what's on the other side of that mirror? What's on the other side that you actually know what's there for you? Who are you really? If you're in chaos, that's not you. Or are all great changes preceded by chaos? I don't think so. But what I do know for a fact is that if you're experiencing a truly chaotic period in your life, or if you have in the past, that is an opportunity to prove to yourself who you truly are. It's an opportunity to change your life around 180 degrees 90 even helps. Or, I've known people that have done 360s and they're moving the right direction and just build that momentum from a ruthless pursuit of personal development. And suddenly squash victimhood. They squash the old stories. That kind of turnaround takes courage, but also will give you the greatest growth in your life that you ever have experienced. It did for me. I believe in you. Now you must believe. Do me a favor and share this episode. If this has touched you in any way, shape, or form, tell 10 people about it. Forward it to them. Let this episode reach 1 million people. Help others going through these tough times, because I'm feeling it from others. I am also psychic. I'm empathic. I feel everything. It's one of my gifts. And if you actually sit down and research preemies, okay, I was born 2 months premature. Preemies have a gift to feel. And I want to help inspire you to overcoming whatever you're going through. I want to help you, inspire you to greatness, to being who you know you are, what your gifts are on this earth, in this lifetime. And if need be, help you overcome life's hurdles. That's my passion, mind, body, life. Message me if this resonates with you. Message me if you want to be greater or better, or if you're going through hell as you know it right now. Have you ever been in such a chaotic period? I don't know. When you begin to fight and pull yourself out, how did it feel? Did you notice a tremendous growth once you began working to rebuild your life? Are you still struggling to take control? I am one of the rare individuals that's here for you. I have others. I know of others that are in my same boat, and their life's passion is helping others as well. But if you feel like you want to work with me, I'm on LinkedIn or Facebook, Frederick Intamin. Message me and let's see how I can help you. There's a qualifying process, but just message me and take that first step. Please share this, forward this with as many people as possible. It is my mission and passion to reach millions of people and to let them know, to make a difference. That's it for episode 39. I hope you've enjoyed, and until next Friday at 10 a.m., I hope you have a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Intamin, host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.